This might be the craziest Will It Run video you've ever seen. I know it's one of the craziest I've ever done. Imagine if you came across a 51 Chevy off in a shed somewhere, but you found out that it was 70% burned up in a fire. What would you do? I know what I'd do. While walking this property that I'm on, working on a completely different vehicle, I came across this. This is a 51 Chevy. It's got a super interesting Continental kit on it that I've never seen before. And I thought, wow, I should see if I can do a rescue on this thing. And then I got a little bit closer. And the closer I got, the more I thought, well, wait a minute, maybe that's not such a good idea. This poor girl has had a fire inside of it. And as you can see, it's pretty burned out. All that's left of the steering wheel, the dashboard, the clock. It was a stick 3-speed on the tree. Looks like it had heat, radio, which is still in it. But everything inside is just shot. It was a 2-door hardtop, not a sedan. And, you know, relatively solid. I mean, those floors are very solid. So I thought, well, maybe not. Maybe this is not the right thing to do. But look at that original spare back there. Bias ply spare. I have no idea how long this has been here, by the way. It's in a makeshift corrugated steel like shed, and you can see like the timbers, the burned timbers that were around it, and there's burned stuff on the ground. I guess that's the seat, the burned out seat, and there's one of the burned timbers. You know, honestly, without these timbers, this shed's probably not the safest thing in the world to be in, but it's stood up this long, so I'll be careful. Someone's taken pieces of the nose off already. There's junk all over the ground here, all over. I mean, crazy stuff like a chandelier. I can't explain any of that. I don't know the history of this thing. This is the piece of the core support. You know, you can't really tell, but it's completely burned and rusted and brittle from the fire. But I'm going to get it out of the way so I don't trip on it. Look at this. This is something. Look at that. Rhinestone jeans. Wow. Like I say, no explanation. This thing here on the ground freaked me out at first. I thought this was a real animal on the ground, and it isn't. It's a Christmas teddy bear, so we're just going to set him up over here. I have no idea what's living around here, so I'm walking around gingerly. I got to be super careful. But this is the front of it. It looks like the fire was definitely engulfed the inside, definitely engulfed the front here, because of this thing is all shot and burned. But the engine itself, I mean, the battery cable's burned, the gas filter's burned, but I've seen a lot worse. I've seen carburetors actually melt from an engine fire. This one doesn't. I haven't taken the air cleaner off, but it doesn't appear to be melted. Let's check if it's seized, since I'm in here. It's not seized. No, it's not seized at all. Not at all. Wow, that's cool. This is a fairly late model alternator, so it's 12 volts. Oh wow, look at this. Look at this intake manifold. For those of you that know these old Chevys well, this says Fenton on it. This is a special manifold that basically splits the exhaust from single exhaust to dual exhaust. You can see it, 1, 2. So this Fenton manifold is pretty rare and pretty cool. So it was a back in the day speed part, and maybe this thing has more speed parts on it. It's got a chrome valve cover. It's clean inside, really clean inside. Moving around to this side, the starter wires are, well, fried, completely fried. So I'm going to have to wire up my own, but that's no big deal. The coil's missing, and I don't know if that's because it's torched or not. The cap is off, but the rotor is here, thankfully, because I don't have one of these with me. But there is a rotor here, good shape. I do have a coil with me. I always take one on these rescues. Spark plug wires, they're not burnt. They're crispy. They've seen heat, but they're not burnt. They may be salvageable. Under the cap, oh, it's fine under that cap. Look at that. Completely fine. Oh, this must be the coil wire. Okay. What else? Gas line, of course. It's here somewhere, right here. Oh, it's all steel. Okay, so that didn't burn because it's all steel. Comes out, it's all steel. It's all steel right up to the gas filter. Well, that's good. I'm not going to run off the tank anyway, but it's possible this fuel pump works. The heater hoses here are not burnt. This is weird, right? The heater hoses here are not burnt, yet this battery cable is burnt. Is it possible that this was a battery, an electrical fire from a short? It's certainly possible. Why that would have started in the car, I don't know. You'd think it would have blown a fuse or something. But it almost looks like the fire started right here, right in this harness. That's the positive cable. They're both black. Pet peeve of mine. So it's impossible to tell, but this is the one that goes right to the starter. Maybe that's what happened here. But we're going to give it a shot. Decent chrome bumper. We're going to give this one a shot today and see how well we can do. Passenger side, much like the driver's side. This is kind of neat. If you can zero in here, this is super interesting. Back in the day, when they filled the seam between the roof and the body, they used lead. Later years they used body filler, but they used lead, and you can see it got so hot. That's lead. That's the lead having dripped out of the seams. That's interesting. All the glass is broke, probably from the heat, who knows. And yet, from here back, you'd hardly know. And this Continental kit is in excellent condition. So at one time, this was a pretty cool rig. It's got all different kinds of wheels on it. Oldsmobile Rally on one side, Chevy Rally on this side, nothing on the front. Oh cool, I didn't notice that. It used to be 3 on the tree, but somebody converted it to a floor. That's good. It'd be a whole lot easier to find neutral with everything so messed up under the hood right now. Much easier to find neutral with a floor shift. And if this thing does start to fall down on me, I've got a hard hat. But I'm not wearing that. It's actually, on the hard hat, it says medical information carrier. I don't know. All right, come on along. Let's get this journey started. I'm going to spin this a full 2 revolutions. Make sure we don't have any stuck valves or something. But it really is spinning nice. crazy nice, really. Yeah, this is fine. This is completely fine. All right, let's pull this air cleaner. This is going to be a telltale sign right here. Okay, that's welded on. I'm going to have to get a wrench for that. All right, needed vice grips to get this nut off. Looks okay, other than rusty. I don't see any fire in the carburetor, but it's badly stuck. Badly stuck. Yeah, I'm gonna have to work on that, because it is, yeah, there it goes. I'm gonna have to definitely work on that, but there does not seem to be any issue with fire getting in there. Got to plug that vacuum leak hose burnt off of it. Won't need a radiator cap. The radiator is right there. If I get this thing fired and running, there are hoses to hook it up. Yeah, the top hose is there and the bottom hose is there. You know, I just don't get it. How can the radiator hoses be here and this is all burnt? It just makes no sense. Is it possible that someone tried to resurrect this thing before? I don't think so, because the wiring is so messed up and it's still connected. Anyway, that's all fine with me. We've got what we need to continue. Just lubing up the linkage, trying to free it up. Look at that. Just needed a little lube. At least the bottom part of it's free. Yeah, I mean, it's working. All right, that's great. That was too easy. Check the oil. The oil is over full, but that's okay. And it's not filthy. It's dirty, but it's not filthy. And it's got, you know, it's not sludge either. It's dripping off the stick, so that's all good. Certainly good enough to try to fire it. I wouldn't run it too long. Oil filter's up there, so it's been out of the heat. Yeah, I mean, wiring, fuel, coil, that's next. Fuel line off. I was trying to get this hose off and it actually split in my hand. It's hard as a rock. But the reason I took this off is I want to get some carb cleaner in there. I'm worried about the needle either being fused from the heat or stuck from age. So I'm just going to spray some carb cleaner in there and just tighten it all back up. I'm going to hook my fuel system to this, bypassing the fuel pump altogether. At least to start. The chances of the fuel pump working in this thing probably aren't high given the heat, but we won't need it anyway to fire it. Wonderful. Okay. Next step is the wiring. This will be interesting. I got them apart. There's negative, goes to the bell housing. Here's positive to the starter. I'm going to wrap these, obviously, but the copper's good. So this is a usable cable. This connection is good. It's even got the clamp still on it. The clamp didn't melt, so that's good. This one, not as nice. This is the negative. The clamp's missing. So I'm going to have to, I think I have one with me, but if not, I'll dig one up around here. There's a bunch of sheds like this around here, and there's stuff all over the place. So this is all a good sign, a really good sign. Okay, coils next. All right, so positive cable, it's got a connector on it. Negative cable, I did find one in one of these other sheds. It's like new. So what I'm going to do, there's lots of bare copper here that I need to cover. I've got this piece of heater hose that's split, and I'm just going to wrap it around it and just tape it up so it doesn't move, and we're insulated. So I'm just making a cut in the hose, and I'm just going to wrap it around the cable, tie off the ends. Instant insulation. See that? Just put it over all the burn parts. This is not something you want to leave in place, of course. This is just for playing around. I've got more than enough here, which is great. Okay, once I get this done, I'll be back at you.
Ready when you are.
Okay, got the positive cable all nicely insulated, but you can't just hook juice up to it yet. This is the feed to the dash, the main harness feed to the dash. If we hook power up to this, this also gets power because it goes right to the starter connection with the positive battery cable. So this has to come off. So that's the next step, is to just disconnect the wire, disconnect the nut on top of the starter that holds this together, and pull that off. It's a bit of a treat to have nothing in the way to do this. It's certainly making this job a bit easier than it could have been. And this is not super tight, which is nice. So we're going to take this off now, being careful not to drop anything. Okay, there's the nut and the washer. Here's the cable. And here's the main feed. We can't have juice going through that. So what I'm going to do is just take it completely off and hook this back up. Now also is the trigger for the starter, this little guy here. This needs to go as well. So I've got to take that off because that also, of course, is once it has juice applied, it's going to short out like the main feed would have. So that will be next. Okay, just zoom in here. I've got the coil in. Obviously the positive wire from the coil is long gone, burnt, but the negative side was still here. So that's hooked up. This is the coil I always bring with me, so I know it's good. I'm just going to jump this straight 12 volts from the battery when I get the battery in. And then I'm going to check for spark. The points look good. Let's hope that the rubbing block isn't melted. It doesn't look like it is. So I've got to grab my battery, hook the fuel up, and we're almost ready to try this thing. Okay, I've got the battery. I had to go back to the truck for it, and let me tell you, hidden hazards of this line of work. There's stuff all over the place, and it's not a well-beaten path to this car. I tripped on something, and there was a steel stake sticking out of the ground at an angle. If I'd fallen on that, this video would be over. Luckily, I didn't. Battery's here. First thing I'm going to do is just touch voltage to it and see if anything smokes. Now it shouldn't, because the only thing that's got voltage in this entire car right now is the starter. Nothing. Now if I'm thinking correctly, which I might not because it's about 200 degrees out here, the engine ought to spin right now with the way I've got it wired. And it does. Yay! Okay, that spun really fast. Really fast. So Great. Now I need to hook up the ignition, which is essentially right here. I'm just going to run 12 volts direct to it, like I usually do on these things. By the way, you're not supposed to run 12 volts direct on point systems. The points will burn out. But when I do it, I'm only doing it for a few minutes. The points aren't going to burn out in a few minutes. If you think they are, you don't know enough about points. Okay, fuel systems next.
You're right.
So one of the things that's happening today that never happens is everything's going too easy. I don't know if it's because it's so easy to get at things, but I was wondering, where am I going to hook my fuel system to? Because I usually hook it to the hood. And this burnt piece of wood here has this attachment on it, and it's the perfect place to hang my system. So it either means that things will continue to go well because this thing wants to run, or something else. Hopefully not something else. First thing I'm going to do is a chainsaw gas in the carb, see if it fires. I have to plug this vacuum leak first, so I'll do that and I'll get right back to you.
You're good.
Thing I forgot, I didn't check for spark. So hopefully there's spark right here in the points. There is not. So I'm going to have to clean the points. No problem. I'm used to doing that. Looked at. You see any spark? Yep, it's got spark. Okay, beautiful. It's not the greatest spark, but it's got spark. I think it's good enough to take the next step. Okay, here goes nothing. Little bit of chainsaw gas in the carburetor. Hook the spark up and see if this girl will fire. Whoops. Starter's being temperamental. Oh, come on. Okay, get out the hammer. Stand by. All right, we're gonna try it again. Crap. I'm gonna try moving the engine a bit. It could be the flywheel's just not at a good place for the starter. Come on. Oh my God.
Yeah, I did. I stopped it because it made me nervous, and the video, I was like, I need to stop this and tell him.
Okay, we got to disconnect the fuel pump.
Move back because it was squirting like really far out. I was like,
Yeah, I got to disconnect the fuel pump.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, let me get the wrench. Boy, am I surprised. You probably saw it. The fuel pump started pumping. I can't believe it. How does a fuel pump in a burnt engine pump? But it was. Of course, the gas stinks, as you can imagine. So I'm just going to disconnect it, because I don't want that thing pumping all over the place. That would not be very safe. But it almost fired, which is, you know, it's hopeful that this thing is really going to fire, because it was close. I'm going to close the choke next time and see how it does there. Okay, battery's hooked up. We're going to give it another try. I'm going to move over to this side, because clearly that's where I need to be. Ah, crap. Come on. Come on, baby. Oh, it so wants to go. It so wants to go. Come on. It's so close. It's just so close. I'm going to try filling up my fuel line. I don't really think that's going to have any difference at all, but I'm going to try it. Well, filling up my fuel line exposed that there's a hole in the steel part of the fuel line. Okay, got to fix that. Where's my screwdriver? Giving it another try. This time I'm going to give it a little throttle. Unreal! Woo! Woohoo! Unreal. I'm going to turn up the idle, then we're going to get this thing idling. Wow.
I'm going now.
Yep.
Whenever you're ready.
I'm ready. Okay, let's try it again. We got a little bit of a carb leak, so I'm going to try to fire this up quickly. Smooth and right out. Missing a little at first, but smooth and right out. I don't have an oil pressure gauge, so I can't see the oil pressure. But there's oil getting up in there, so it's got something. And it's getting more and more quiet. It had a noisy lifter, but not now. I can't let it run long. There's no coolant in it. Look at that thing. Unreal. Unreal. Woohoo! That is awesome. Unbelievable. A burnt piece of crisp, and it's running beautiful. It's idling. Sounds great. Incredible. Incredible. Look at this. I'm going to shut it down in a few seconds because of the water situation. And I'm going to put some water in it. I'm going to see if there's a thermostat in it, and if not, I'm going to pour some antifreeze right down the throat. I'm going to use antifreeze, not water, because it's very clear. This is still probably going to sit here a very long time after I'm done. You know, both of us here are covered with old gas because the fuel pump still had a little bit of old gas in the line, even though I disconnected it. And when the thing fired, it squirted all over us. So we stink, but it's probably the best smell in the world right now because it's the smell of victory. Oops. All right, is there a thermostat in there? I don't know. Yes. I'm going to try to loosen these up, but if they're super tight, I'm not going to screw with it because I don't want to snap them off. All right, I'm putting some coolant in. Whoops. I'm going to hold the outlet hose up high so that what I put in just doesn't leak out. When the water pump starts spinning, it might push it out, but not a whole lot I can do about that, really. I just want to run it a minute, you know. And I just don't want to put water in it. Just a little bit more. I don't have any illusions of filling this thing up full. Let's see how that goes. Where's my chainsaw gas? Where did I put that? Okay, right up there. Okay. All right, we're ready to go. Give it one more try. Got to fill my fuel tank again. Yeah. All right, we're going to try it one more time. This is a continuing problem with the flywheel alignment. Didn't even have to prime it this time. I'm going to turn the idle down a bit now. I turned it up, but it no longer needs it. Beautiful. We're going to take a walk on the back and see how cool it sounds back here. So this thing has true jewel exhaust. Looks like it goes straight out the back under the Continental kit. Oh yeah, right there. Wow, look at the size of that outlet. Cool. Okay. Getting a little low on the idle. Whoa, crap. I just didn't catch it in time. I don't think it ran out of gas, so I'm going to fire it up again. Because again, it's got coolant in it. It's only been running a minute. But it may have run out of gas a little quicker than I thought it would. Boy, this starter is not liking life. All right, that's it for now. I'm going to shut this guy down, just let it run out of fuel, and then shut it down. It's not hot, no blow by, and this is a good engine. Water pump circulating good, so all good here. Really, really impressed. Just going to let it run out of gas. There's no sense letting gas sit in the carburetor. Who knows how long it's going to sit. It's all good though. All right, so I would say huge success today, huge. I couldn't be more happy with how things have worked out. A car that had been sitting here for who knows how long, burnt, no hope. It's in a position now where the thing might even move. I didn't try it. I'm not going to try it, but it's a stick shift. Why wouldn't it? Why wouldn't it? I'm sure the clutch is good. It would move. Of course, it's not going to have brakes. Put a tire on it, and this thing would move. Who knows? Maybe I'll do a video on this one again in the future. But for now, I accomplished what I wanted to accomplish. This old girl ran. I'm going to button it back up right, put the air cleaner back on, make sure that the wiring is not screwed up, so if someone tries this on their own, they won't mess things up. Plug off the gas line and all the stuff you're supposed to do. So if you ever wondered if a burned out 51 Chevy would start again after sitting for decades, you learned today the answer is yes. This has been super fun. I'm glad you came along for the ride. There's a lot more videos coming. We're going to give you a sneak peek in a minute of some of the ones that we've got coming up. So please subscribe, because there'll be a lot more throughout the summer. I think you're really going to enjoy it. Thanks for coming along. All right, here's the first of... Oh. This thing's buried in some kind of pricker bush. Blackberries or something. Ow. There's got to be snakes all over the place in here. I don't know how I let you talk me into these things. I mean, this thing has been here since the dinosaurs roamed the earth. It's actually crazy nice inside. Crazy nice. Yeah, it's intact. This thing even has a radio in it. Wow. Clock, radio, cigarette lighter. Oh my God, this thing's an automatic. So this is a power glide. This was a very heavily optioned 50 Chevy. No radiator. I hope nothing jumps out at me. Taking a huge risk here. That engine is intact. Absolutely intact. It's got... Okay, this looks like 78. I think this is 78 F100. Automatic. With air conditioning. Pretty rough. Lots of flat tires and stuff, but it's a candidate. Love the two-tone green.